Well, we just finished our whirlwind on the road with Randy terminal tour, and our last stop was in Carlin, Nevada. And when I think back, when we had this idea, it was actually last year, but we started too late in the planning. We decided to make this happen this year. We started early June, late May with kind of a test trip, and we said we're going to hit all 90 plus spots and try to do it in 3 or 4 months. And I really didn't know what to expect. I had hopes about how things would work, what I'd find out there. I had some beliefs, but I really wanted to have confirmation of those beliefs. And what I can tell you is, after visiting 92 stops around all of this country, Canada, Mexico, what I found were the themes I was hoping to see, which was our commitment to safety, our commitment to excellence, our commitment to our customers, to our people, to opportunities for our people, for advancement, for a really specific culture. And what I found really amazed me around the countries, and I say countries because, again, it was the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, and it makes me just really, really proud of what we built as a company and what everybody here does. So I think back to some of the moments, and there's so many people that stand out, so many visits that are so impactful. I've watched all the videos multiple times. So part of it is the proofing process, the editing process, but just I go back and watch some of them because it's really, really motivating as to what we've done in this company and the leadership we have out there, the people we have out there. So one of the early stops, I think it was in Augusta, and I met Ozil. And Ozil has been a driver for, I couldn't tell you how many decades. He was just a perfect, consummate professional, a gentleman. He had that incredible smile, and the stories he told were they were really motivating. So and again, there were others we visited early on, but he just stood out because it was what I was hoping to see out on the tour, and he was the consummate example of what I was looking for. And then I remember up in Barberton, near Cleveland, I met Woody. Woody's the one I've been driving over 60 years, over 9 million miles, and which is just incredible. He's still driving. He's in his 80s. And then it was neat to see, I think it was his grandson, working at the terminal, to see that generational connection. He was in our shop, if I remember right. And then a little while later, we went to Charleston, South Carolina. And in Charleston, great operation, and actually in North Charleston, one of the ladies I met was Vanetta. Vanetta was a welder, okay? And she was kind of new at it, and was a great addition to our team. And it was just inspiring because you don't see, there's a deficiency of women in trucking, and especially in the mechanical trades and welding trades, but it's great opportunity. And just seeing her take advantage of that was really inspirational. And then we were up in, it was East St. Louis, so right over the river from St. Louis, Missouri. And you think about all the people that we have working here, and you don't always think about all their backgrounds. And what I remember was coming across Amir, and Amir was a welder for us. But what was unique about Amir was he was a refugee from Bosnia during the wars in the 90s, which a lot of people don't even remember, especially if you're not old enough. That wasn't that long ago, 30 years ago. And he came over, had some mechanical training in Bosnia, but he came over and worked in a family butcher shop, if I remember. But then he put his skills to work, and he's been a welder for us for 10 plus years. And I think he told me he still does some of the work in the butcher shop on the weekends, and just amazing. And then we went down to Cincinnati, and one of the funniest drivers I ever met was Harold. Harold was so animated. He was hamming it up for the camera. He kept saying, hello to Tampa, and it was just cracked me up. But he had such a passion for what he does. Told me about his trucks, and I remember he has, 2 trucks. One he keeps in Texas that is compliant with California standards. So when he has to run to California, he goes on to Texas, switches his tractor out. What an ingenious way to run his business. He's an independent contractor, does a great job. And then back in Cincinnati, at one of our other terminals, I met Samantha, or Sam, and I remember telling the story during that video where, she was a young lady, had worked her whole career in hospitality, I think she said since she was a teen, and was still at the same place, doing okay. But I think one day she said, what am I doing with myself? I need to have a better career. And her husband said, why don't you try a trade? And I think she said, like what? And I think he suggested welding. And she decided to try it out, fell in love with it. And now she's got, a good, stable job, excellent money, better work-life balance. And I think about those opportunities. I was so glad we were able to help provide that for her and really have her meet, her goal. And then it was another gentleman in Cincinnati. It was Jimmy, been driving over 50 years. Okay, I remember meeting a lot of folks during that visit in Cincinnati, over 50 years. And then as we were leaving that location, I had another gentleman run up to me. His name was Zim, and Zim was a Greek immigrant, came over, a couple decades ago, and he's been driving with us forever. He was talking so much about how much he enjoyed it. I loved what he did. We talked about a lot of topics. It was just really inspirational. Then we went on one of our tours up in the Midwest. We started up in Appleton and then went down to Bristol, Wisconsin. We have a long-standing operation there. And it was interesting. One of the ladies that I think she said she was retired 2 or 3 times, her name is Diane, 46 years plus with us. She's tried to retire several times. We keep asking her to come back and help, to train people, and she still comes in. And so she came in and gave me so much of the history of the company, showed me a lot of the memorabilia from the days, and I was so impressed. She actually wrote out all her notes to be able to have something to talk to recount her 46 years in this business, supporting our company and our customers and our drivers, and that was really impressive. Then I met a driver in Louisville, Kentucky, and his name was Bill Ledbetter, and Bill was a driver for over 50 years. He's moved in the office. He had a couple of health challenges, but 50 years driving is a heck of a long time. But I remember just talking to him about different, runs he's made, and some of the drivers that have been around a long time, I asked him, do they remember their very first run? And he did. He remembered taking a load of biscuits, I think it was frozen biscuits, from New Albany, Indiana, down to somewhere in the Carolinas. But he's been driving over 50 years. Now he's able to impart his wisdom on other drivers as basically a driver manager for us. And the knowledge he has, the experience, he can help our younger drivers, gain experience, be safe, and learn how to be successful in this world. So he was great. So when we did our Texas tour, that was one of our most intense tours because we went to 11 stops. I mean, Texas is, number one, it's a big state. Houston, the greater Houston area, is the center of chemical production in North America, the whole Gulf area, but especially Houston. And we have multiple terminals there. And I met Shay at one of our terminals, and Shay was a driver for 29 years. And again, a successful female driver, not the most common in our industry, and now she's a driver manager. And so again, she has all the experience. She can help drivers be successful, and to just have that kind of commitment all those years, and now taking her knowledge and wisdom and helping impart it on younger drivers that are just starting out, maybe some that are struggling at times, was just a great tribute. And she was funny and definitely committed to what she does. Then later on during our Texas tour, we were in San Antonio. I think, it was San Antonio, and met Mo. Mo was a driver. He was an immigrant from Niger. Been a driver with us for 7 years. He had this infectious smile, loves what he does, very successful man. And it was just, again, remembering the kind of cultures our folks come from all over the world, all over the country. Just an incredible visit. And then when I was in Winfield, Louisiana. So Winfield, kind of in north central Louisiana. Got to meet one of our drivers that I remember. I spent a whole day with him in Indianapolis. He was our Driver of the Year nominee for the industry. His name is Abdul. And Abdul, I remember him being represented there. I think it was his wife and his sister-in-law, I believe. I mean, Abdul, what a great man. I mean, just an inspiration, totally committed to his family, committed to his craft, does a great job for us. And again, he got the recognition of being our Driver of the Year for the national competition. Also, when I was in Winfield, there was another young lady that I met there. Her name was Eleanor. Eleanor was a brand new driver. Maybe 6 months or a year. And again, I asked her, why did she become a driver? Because again, it's really uncommon for women in trucking in general, and especially in chemical trucking. And same thing is our welder Sam in Cincinnati. She said, I was working retail, wasn't always easy to make ends meet, and I figured I had to do something, and so I decided to become a truck driver. Loves what she does, and what I remember was the funny story with her is that she works a lot, as many hours as she can, being in compliance, but she's really hungry to make a good living. And I think the terminal manager, Michael, looked and realized how much she was working and said, she really needs a break. I'm going to give her the weekend off. And she got told, hey, she wouldn't be working this weekend. I think she called him and she told him basically, I'll let you know when I need time off. I want to work. I want to make money. And it was just funny to see her response, but also her commitment was just fantastic, really fantastic. So also while I was visiting Winfield, I had a chance to meet Tony, and this one really stood out because of just the personal impact. So as I was leaving that terminal, remember we were talking about his bike, and he had this beautiful Harley out there, and on the back it had a memorial to Anthony Johnson, 1993 to 21, I think. And I went back and asked him, and it was his son. And it reminds you, his son passed away. It reminds you that in the end, this is all about our people and our families, and and why everything we do is so important, so our people get home every night from their job. The terminal staff, the mechanics, the welders, our drivers, we want them home to see their family and friends. And that one really was a heartbreaking moment for me to take in, and I can't imagine the loss that he had. So on the last part of our trip, the last two terminals we went to, Salt Lake City, it was interesting. I got a chance to meet a lot of great people there, just like everywhere. But Slayer, a driver, his nickname is Slayer because he used to play some rock and roll music, loved heavy metal. But it was just neat hearing his passion for what he does. He's been driving for a long time, and that the uniqueness that he spends 2-3 months a year living in Thailand where his wife is, and when he retires someday, that's where he's going to spend the rest of his life. And it was just really cool hearing that story. And then the last one really was from the last visit. Carlin, Nevada is a pretty remote location. It's 3.5 hours from Salt Lake, maybe 3 hours from Reno. It's basically an old mining town, and it supports all the mines in the area. But seeing Donna again, Donna Morgan does a phenomenal job for us. But Rory, they're a couple, and just seeing what they've done, and they really epitomize our company. Their commitment to the drivers, to safety, to our customers. They really represent what we believe in as a company. Safety, compliance, service, opportunity, family, commitment. And I can't think of a better way to have ended this trip than to finish up in Carlin with Donna and Rory. So it's kind of bittersweet that the trip's over. It's been a massive amount of commitment on everybody's part, our marketing team, but the terminals, and but it just is so inspiring for me personally to meet everybody, to see what we built as a company and why we're the leader in the industry.